All right, so let's talk about the decision not to have the alternatives on the stage. I know there was a rule you had to have 15% support, but Gary Johnson supporters are upset. They say, look, he's an independent candidate. He won't be on stage Monday night. They've taken to Facebook to give one-star reviews to Hofstra University saying, look, Gary Johnson should be on that debate stage. What do you say?
Well, Governor Johnson, the former governor of New Mexico, knew almost a year ago that he would have to get to 15%. We announced, and we are required by law and by precedent to have what we call pre-established objective criteria for these debates. We set the number at 15%, and frankly, some members of our commission thought that was too low. Some thought it was a little too high, but there's some precedent for 15%. And, you know, that seems to be a reasonable number. If you're a leading candidate for President of the United States, you ought to be able to get 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7 of our fellow citizens to support your candidacy. And most of the polls that we use to kind of make the measure of whether or not a candidate would be invited to debate have Governor Johnson below 10%. So, you know, the message to his supporters, and they are very outspoken, there's no question about that, is to work hard to get Governor Johnson up in the polls. And we have 2 more debates, one on October 9th, one on October 19th. And if Governor Johnson, before those debates, reaches the 15% threshold, he'll be invited to participate.
All right. So if he does get to that 15% level, he will still be able to get on another debate, a later debate. And same with Jill Stein. These are the rules.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
We apply the criteria before each of the debates. We've settled now on the participants in the first debate and also the vice presidential debate, but there are 2 more debates after that.
Yeah. Mike, talk to us about what the candidates should be doing. Do you have any advice for the candidates? This is going to be a super important night. We know how tight this race is, and anything can happen, and this will or could dictate what happens in November. So what's your advice for the candidates?
Well, look, it's not my role as the co-chair of this commission to give advice. I've been on the other side because I worked, obviously, as you said, for President Clinton when he prepared for his debate in 1996. But you know, there's part of me that says don't over-prepare. There's part of me that says just think about the vision that you want to lay out in front of the country. People are so anxious to hear how is the next president going to impact their lives, their families, their communities. And stepping back and being visionary and talking in a broader sense about the future of the country and frankly getting away from some of the little rat-a-tat-tat that we get during the day-to-day work of the campaign, I think that's the right frame of mind to be in.
Yeah, especially since we've got all of this moving news that's happening, right? Whether it be the bomber in New York and New Jersey, you know, more terrorism fears, or, you know, shootings. So do you think it's more important to bone up on policy, make sure you understand, you know, what's going on all over the world so that you can say, look, I want to put boots on the ground or no boots on the ground, real specifics in terms of policy? Or is it more important to lay out what you just said, and that's, this is why I'm going to be better for your family, sort of a vision?
Yeah, these debates are not like being on a great Sunday talk show or a show like this. These are really to step back and to talk more broadly about the general subjects, the big themes, the things that matter most to the American people. And there's plenty of time to kind of talk about the headlines of the day as the campaign goes on day to day throughout the rest of the fall. But these debates ought to be about something that's broader and more educational and more visionary and more really about where are we going to go as a country. I think people, you know, are very concerned about the direction of this country. We see that in poll after poll, and they want to know what will be different if one of these 2 people get elected president. And I think that if the focus is there, I think we will have done a good job. The candidates will have hopefully done a good job, and certainly the moderator will have done a good job.
Yeah, you make really good points. So the ratings are going to be incredible, Mike. I mean, this is expected to cut into Monday Night Football. I think it's the Packers-Giants game, okay, by 20% in the ratings. That's
later. I think that's later. I think it's the Falcons and the Saints on this one coming up on Monday. But in any event, look.
Okay, it's the Falcons and the Saints. So how many people do you think are going to be watching?
In the course of 4 years, there are about 1,000 NFL football games, but there are only 3 presidential debates. And I think people, through the miracles of modern technology, they'll be able to tape the football game and watch it later, or they can watch the football game and tape the debate and watch that later. But I think it'll have an extraordinary audience, and I think the NFL will suffer through the fact that they're up against a debate on Monday night.
Yeah. Well, look, I think you're right. I think more people are interested in making sure that they're watching that debate. to understand what's going on in our country. They'll tape the game. Mike, it's good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maria. It's great to be with you.
We appreciate it very much. Mike McCurry, thanks for your leadership there, sir.